There are lessons learned in every disaster. What went right and what could be done better. There are dozens of recommendations being made to better emergency response as a result of the Marshall Fire. One we know is already in action. Avista Hospital in Louisville survived the fire, but had to close for a time because of smoke damage. Our Mark Salinger learned that one simple change has already helped other hospitals stay open.
Of all the important places inside a hospital, preparing for a wildfire starts here.
This draws the air in from the outside, pushes in through the entire hospital.
On the roof of Penrose Hospital in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, exactly.
Maintenance technician Mark Lenzian shows off the hospital's new line of defense.
Oh, these are the pre-filters that's conditioning the air.
When a wildfire starts nearby, the first thing he does now is make sure the smoke can't get in the building.
The charcoal filter gets rid of any big particulates in the air, and it also mitigates the smell.
Yeah, carbon filters were not something that are a normal stocked item, but it is something now that all of the facilities will be having on hand for those instances.
Yeah, because of the Marshall Fire, we were more prepared at Penrose.
During the Marshall Fire, Avista Hospital had to evacuate all its patients, taking the sickest out one by one using stretchers. Surveillance video shows the frantic moments. The hospital survived, but was closed for weeks because of smoke damage inside. Now Centura hospitals have new filters to keep smoke out.
Yes, that is worst case scenario.
Dana McFadden already had to use the new filters at Penrose Hospital down in the Springs when a wildfire started nearby back in May. She's the fire and life safety specialist here.
That we already had those here. We were able to quickly deploy them to mitigate that, the smell of the smoke and the particles from coming in.
And we assess what are our biggest fears, what are the biggest concerns in the community. And I would say every year fire has been at the top of that list.
Centura has had to implement its newly revised fire plans several times since the Marshall Fire, from Colorado Springs to Durango. Christy Olson is the Penrose Chief Operating Officer.
Absolutely, it's come in great use because even here on May 12th in Colorado Springs, we had 2 significant fires.
In the worst case scenarios,
we would fill up the hospital with polluted air and it would have a bad odor to it.
Keeping the air clean is a priority and a lesson learned the hard way. Emergency managers at Centura hospitals now listen to emergency radios constantly, especially on red flag days. They learned during the Marshall Fire that it's important to be in contact with fire departments as soon as possible when there's an emergency. Now, while hospitals used to prepare for people coming in injured from wildfires, now they're preparing to defend the physical hospitals from the flames as they become more common in urban areas. Marshall, you really have to prepare for these things now.
Keeping the hospital open, great, because we have this idea, but the people in the hospital, they see a fire coming. They got to live near the hospital. They got to be worried that they could be in danger, their home's in danger.
Yeah, we saw all of these stories of nurses, doctors, people who worked at the hospitals being like, well, I have to evacuate, I have to go home, but I also have to take care of all these patients. Now they have a way to cross-reference where people live, whether or not they're in evacuation zones, so that they have the ability to call in extra personnel, extra nurses, extra doctors, extra people who work there and say, all right, you take over, you go home, deal with your stuff, and then other people can come in and relieve you.
It's wild. Just the idea of a filter on the roof.
Yeah, simple, but makes a big difference.
Right. Thanks, Mark.